We continue with the prophecies to the nations of Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah chapter 51. We're in the middle of the, now to the second chapter of the prophecy towards Babel, and that's where we will pick up. So chapter 51, God says, I see a roused and destructive wind against Babel. I will send strangers against Babel, and they're going to rip the land bare. El Yidroch Adorech Asho, the El Yital, the Syrian no, the Al Tifmenu at Fakireha Asarini Pol Siva'a. Merchant will draw his bow and stand ready. Show no pity, wipe them out. And they will fall, slain in the land of Aldea, pierced through her streets. Because Israel and Judah were not bereft of their God, but their land was filled with guilt before the Holy One. Flee from Babel, save your lives. Do not perish for her, because it's time for God's vengeance. Right? So Bnei Israel were sinners, and so Babel came and destroyed them, but the Babylonians were good. And so Babel is going to be destroyed also. With the golden cup in God's hand. Made the whole earth drink. The nations drunk the wine, and that's why the nations are mad, right? The wine being almost like a hot coal being thrown down from this cup of gold. Babel has fallen, it's shattered. Cry over her. Maybe she can be healed. We tried to cure Babel, but we put in his glove. And tell everybody went on their way to because her punishment reaches from the heaven. God has proclaimed our vindication. Get the arrows, polish them, get the quivers ready. God has roused the spirit of the kings of Madai, right? Palashku Madai, for the divine plan against Babylon is to destroy her. Vengeance for the holy temple. And he told the right Palashku Madai, the Persians do come and conquer Babel, but it's not what's described in this chapter. It's not a devastation. The priests of Babylon actually open the gates and they take over in a basically. Very little bloodshed is done when the Persians take over from the Babylonians. Some of those who say, it's not just a prophecy, it's also a hope, it's also a dream of Yirmiyahu, that the Babylonians should get their comeuppance. And with that, thinking about that, right, Yirmiyahu, we talked about this before, in the other books, in Yeshivas and other books, almost the books of the prophecies to the nations are not always at the end of the book, they're in the middle of the book. Yirmiyahu, they're at the end of the book. But Israel has already suffered, and now we need to see that the other nations suffer, which is a sign that we can come back. And Babel, especially, Yirmiyahu has been accused of being a Babylonian spy, an agent for Babylon, so has been student part of the area. So here, the full destruction of Babel, he needs a sense almost to speak about so that nothing worse happens to him. Continue, we're in 12. Are raised against the walls of Babylon, set up a blockade, prepare for the ambush. God is going to destroy the inhabitants of Babel. You who have great waters with vast storehouses, your time has come, your hours end. It might be next to the Tigris and Euphrates, but time is coming to them. God is sworn, I will fill the enemies like locusts. They will raise a shout against you. God made the earth with his might. He established the world and the skies. When God, bellows and it screams out, there's a rumbling of waters in the sky. Vapors rise, lightning comes, wind is brought forth. Every mortal is proved dull without knowledge. Every goldsmith is put to shame because of the idol. There are molten images, there's no breath in them. They're nothingness, they're illusion. Masay Tatuim, Be'et Kudatam, Yodu. They're in their hour of doom, they will perish. That's not like the portion of Israel that is God. Because God is the one who created everything. Mapes, we have this word, the Torah, Sadi, the club, the beat, many times coming up in the next few verses. Mapes, Adonai li, Plino, Hamad, Patsi, Bakba, Yimukati, Achmam, you were my war club. You were the weapons of my battle with you I club nations. With you I destroyed kingdoms. With you I clubbed horses and riders. And carried and driven. Right, you clubbed the man and the woman, the elderly and the young, the youth and the native. The shepherd and the flock, the flower and the team, the governors and the prefects, you club them all for me. And I will have my revenge against you, Babel, right? You were my agent, but you didn't have to be my agent. Somebody else could have been the agent. You were the willing executioner. Revenge is going to be done to you for all the wicked that you did in Zion. Verse 25. I will deal with you. I will destroy you, says God. It can be over and again. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to, sorry, I'll just, describe it. We'll never take a foundational stone, raise, sound a horn amongst the nations, assemble all the kingdoms, bring up forces like swarming locusts, in verse 28. Appoint nations for war against her. The kings of Media, all the lands they rule, right? Everybody's going to gather together. Babel destroyed everybody. Now everybody's going to gather together to attack her. Torah 29. The earth quakes and rise for God's purpose is fulfilled against Babylon. Babylon's going to be erased again. You don't see this necessarily happen. It doesn't happen until hundreds of years later. I believe it's Alexander the Great, or the Macedonian, who comes and destroys Babylon about the year 300 before the Common Era, 330, 350 before the Common Era. The warriors of Babylon stopped fighting. Their might is dried up. Runners dashed to meet them, messengers to meet them, to report to the king of Babylon that a city is captured from one end to the other. And 32, right, the fords from the Euphrates are captured, the swamp are consumed in fire, the warriors are in panic. 33, because God says there Babylon is going to be like a threshing floor. It's going to be stomped. Think of how you could stomp on a bug that's bothering you. We're stomping on that threshing floor. In a little while, her harvest, she will be harvested. Our king of Babel devoured me, swallowed me like a dragon, filled me his belly, set me down like an empty dish that rips me out. And that's 35. So the violence that was done to my kindred will be upon Babylon, says the inhabitants of Sion at Jerusalem, with the blood of the inhabitants of the Chaldeans. Verse 36, so God says, I'm going to take up your cause. Now I'm going to take vengeance for you. It's not going to be against you anymore. Babylon will be open jackals. Everybody's going to be embarrassed. There's going to be nobody there. The 38 lions will roar. And there's going to be no people. When they're heated, I will set out the drink. I will get them drunk. And they will have an endless sleep. If you look at the end of 39, you have peace not to run. So no, you have peace to run. They're going to sleep and never awake. Or we think, I'll bring them down and they'll be slaughtered. 41. How has Shechem been captured? The praise of you. How has Babylon become a horror of the nation? 42. Allah Babel Hayamba Mungalav Mitzvah. You see, has risen over Babylon. She was covered by its roaring waves. One of the images that was used was the water, almost like a tsunami that's going to overtake Israel, going to overtake Jerusalem, going to overtake everything. At times it's a very it's a boiling cauldron. Other times it's just waves, and here the waves are coming back to Babel. Her towns are desolate, desert, land nobody lives in, nobody's going to be there. ופחדתי על בל בבבל, והוציא את בלעו מפיו, ולא יאמרו אליו עוד גויים, גם חומת בבל נפלה. And I will deal with Bel, the name of the Babylonian god, Bavel, and I will disgorge what he has swallowed. Nations no more will gaze upon it. Even the wall of Babylon will fall. So leave from there, my people. Save your lives from God's furious anger. Of course, in the past, Yirmiyahu told the people in Babel, they're going to be the ones who survive. They should build houses. They will live their lives. In 70 years, God will bring them back. 70 years from about the time that Babel ascends, about the year 6, I remember if it's 609 or 605, maybe about 609, until they are destroyed by the, well, they're not really destroyed, but the Persians take over. It's about the year 539, if I'm correct. It's about 70 years also from the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, 586, to the Beit HaMikdash was finished, rebuilt in 518 or 517, was all before the Common Era. So it's strange here to think of the fury and the anger that those people eventually are going to be able to lead. We know, of course, although we haven't got there from books of Ezra and other books that there are, of course, many members of the Israel who read. Continuing 46. Then you're at the Cherab, the Shmuel, the Shmuel, the Moshe. Don't be downhearted. Don't be scared of the rumors, because violence is going to go against the ruler. I'm going to take my revenge upon Babylon's images. The whole land will be shamed, blamed. We're going to renew all Babel's heavens and earth, and all that is in them will shout. Because the ravagers is the word that we've had used often in the last number of Pekins words, Shodade, ravagers, destroyers, are coming from the north. And as we said previously, we'll say it again, the book starts with Yirmiyahu seeing this vision, this boiling soldier from the north. And so the north, not surprisingly, from the north is where the Babylonians are going to suffer their defeats as well. Babylon is the fall for the slain of Israel, as the slain of all the earth have fallen through Babylon. And you will suffer Babel. The fugitives from the sword, don't delay, remember God, and call to Jerusalem. Why is this? Because aliens entered into the sacred areas of God's house, which they shouldn't enter. Chutzpah to enter there. And thus, in 52, God continues and says, the days are coming. I will deal with Babel, with her images, and throughout her land, there will be dying through Babel. She climbed to the sky, though she fortified her strongholds up to heaven. The ravagers will come against her from the declared God. And think back, we talked about this last chapter, the idea of Shamayim, the Migdal Babel, back in Parshat Noah, where they're trying to go up to the Shamayim, trying to make a name for themselves, and here too was being knocked down. 54, there should be great outcry, screaming from Babel, because God is ravaging Babel in 55. God is taking away her right of war like mighty waves. 56 Babel Shadade, again, the same thing, ravagers coming to Babel, her warriors will be captured, their bows will be snapped. And God who deals with retribution. Ishkarti Sarah, 57, the officials and the sages you'll make them drunk. Their governors and prefects and warriors, and they'll sleep in endless sleep, never to awaken, says the God of hosts. And that's one of the things we've had in this book, in the book, especially more in the book of Yeshivas, the idea of being drunk on their arrogance. And Babel is like that. They're a country nation. They're drunk on their arrogance. Our heir, Titarar, Ishaya, and Boriva, Ishitatu, Yadu, Amin, Bide, Rik, Umin, Bide, H3. Babylon's strong wall will be knocked down, her gates will be set on fire, and people will labor, and the nations have wearied themselves. Now we have the last few verses in this chapter, and this is a little bit different. This is something more interesting, and just we pointed out over the last chapters, unlike Elam, the Ammon, and Moab, and the tribe, which were told they would be returned, they will once again be great nations. Babel is not told that they'll be a great nation. And then we're told they will be destroyed, there's no return. And here Babel is told the very same thing because of their great destruction. Now 59. Adavar Shetziva, Yirmiyahu Nabi al Suraya, then Neria ben Machapik Lachot, Sikyo no Hudaba, Vel Bishat Arugim al Hoshaya Samli Sikyo, who's appointed, I believe, in year 597 as a puppet for for Nebuchadnezzar. He's going with a delegation to Babel, and amongst them is Sariah, the son of Neriah, presumably the brother of Baruch ben Neriah, the family that's close with Yirmiyahu. And what does Yirmiyahu say? I told Yirmiyahu, Babel, a Sefer Asad. We know that Yirmiyahu has written many scrolls. Most of them have described the destruction that's going to come to Bnei Yisrael. They've been burned by kings. They've been ignored. They've been thrown into prison. But now this is a separate scroll, separate book, Sefer, which is being written about the destruction that's going to happen in Babylon. Presumably what we've heard in the last two chapters. All these things concerning Babel. Now, why does Yirmiyahu have to do this? That's through Shuriah. When you come to Babel, the Ra'ita, the Karate, when you go to Babel, see that you read out all these words. It's something very, very dangerous. Now, presumably, I think that the ancient world, if you were a vassal, you were a small state that was conquered by Babel as Yehudah was here, you would have to go to Babel. The king would go with his officers, with lords, and they would go and they would pay the extra taxes and bend the knee and show their allegiance. And so here, you're saying when you're going there and that's what you're going to do, at the same time, you're going to have to say that Babel is going to fall. Now, I don't know if Sariah said this out loud. It's a little bit scary. Yamarta, and he will say, Adonai Atadi Parta, Lamakom Azela, Pishola, Votia, Yoko, Yoshtegman, Adava, Dola, Ishimamoto, Lam Tibiya. Babel, which everybody's coming to bend the knee to bow, to show their tribute, to pay extra taxes, and you're the greatest, God, the eternal one. You have declared that this place is going to be destroyed. No inhabitants for all time. And when you have completed reading this book, attach the Sefer to a rock, throw it into the Euphrates. And of course, attached to a rock, it's going to sink, and it's never going to come up again. Yamarta kapa tishkaba velvelo takum v'nei hara'ah sh'anochi nevi alecha ya'etu adhena d'ger Yirmiyahu. And say, Babylon will sink and never rise again because of the disaster that I would bring on. The nations that have really been served, thus are the words of Yirmiyahu. And really, in this chapter, this is really the ending of the book of Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu has offered so many times that Israel is going to be destroyed. The prophet of gloom and doom here, the gloom and doom is coming to Babel. Babel will fall, which will allow Bnei Israel to rise. Last chapter we have tomorrow is a chapter that's similar, which talks about destruction of Beit HaMikdash. It's the destruction of the kingdom, similar to the end of the book of Menachem. But here really we end the prophecy of Yirmiyahu, of his life's work, his hope for Bnei Israel, and his hope at the end is the destruction of Babel. And that destruction of Babel will ultimately allow Bnei Israel to return to the Beit HaMikdash, as he says will happen. And hopefully we have that again very soon. If you too hope